Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be looking at entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So, that dream of being your own boss and setting your own hours and raking in the cash, right? But
Yeah.
we all know that social media is just a highlight reel, right?
Right.
So we dug up a ton of sources, articles, interviews, research, all kinds of stuff
Wow.
that pull back the curtain on what it really takes to build a business
I like it.
from the ground up.
Yeah. It's like that saying, if it were easy, everyone would do it. That's true for pretty much anything, but
Yeah.
especially entrepreneurship, I think. And,
Yeah.
the sources that we looked at paint a picture that's pretty different from the whole, work from the beach, laptop lifestyle kind of fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. So let's ditch the rose-colored glasses and get real.
Okay.
One of the sources used this phrase that I thought was kind of funny, but also kind of scary.
Okay.
They said that entrepreneurs are one bad client away from ramen noodles.
Yeah.
Is it really that common? That whole financial tightrope walk?
It's definitely a reality for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially when you're first starting out. You're juggling everything,
Right.
building a product, marketing, just like keeping the lights on, all that.
Oh, yeah.
The sources really emphasize that consistent income, you really got to fight for it.
Right.
It doesn't just like magically show up when you have a good idea.
Yeah, you don't just come up with a cool idea and then boom, you're rich.
Right.
Yeah. There was this anecdote that really stood out to me
Okay.
about someone who thought they had this like totally unique, game-changing idea.
Yeah.
And then they found out that like a bunch of other companies were already doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that story.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. It's easy to get so excited about your own idea and then forget to do your research.
Yeah.
Which is why market research is so important.
Right.
And the sources get pretty specific here. They talk about SWOT analysis, which helps you map out your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Really important. And they also talk about competitor analysis, like
Ah.
really digging deep into what your competitors are doing.
Right.
And figuring out how you can differentiate yourself.
So you really got to know who you're up against and what makes you stand out.
Exactly.
Right. But even with a solid plan
Yeah.
and a unique offering,
Right.
the sources make it clear that this is tough stuff.
Yeah.
Mentally and emotionally, they talk about burnout, the pressure to constantly hustle, and just the feeling of being alone in your struggle.
Yeah. It's like the dark side of the entrepreneur life that nobody really talks about.
Yeah. And everybody's trying to project this image of effortless success.
Right.
But the reality is,
Reality is a lot of late nights,
Yeah.
setbacks, moments of doubt, all of that.
for sure.
Yeah.
And the sources really emphasize the importance of mental resilience
Yes.
and self-care,
Yes.
which I think is something that's often overlooked.
Absolutely. People get so caught up in the hustle that they forget to take care of themselves.
Yeah. And that whole hustle mentality can be pretty toxic.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to sacrifice everything to succeed.
Right. It creates this unrealistic expectation
Yeah.
that you have to be on all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
And that's just not sustainable.
No, it's not.
Ah.
One of the sources recommended scheduling time for things that you enjoy,
Yes.
even if it's just like 30 minutes a day,
Yeah.
because they argue that it actually makes you more productive in the long run.
Absolutely. It's like you need to fill your own cup
Yeah.
before you can pour into your business.
I like that.
Yeah.
And the sources also talk about comparing yourself to those curated Instagram feeds.
Oh, yeah.
You look at someone's success story and then you just feel like you're failing.
Right. It's so easy to get caught in that trap.
Yeah.
But the sources, they emphasize that everyone's entrepreneurial journey is different.
Right.
And it's important to define what success means to you
For you. Yeah.
and not get caught up in the comparison game.
Right. Yeah. Don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20.
Exactly. And they also stress the importance of finding mentors,
Oh, yeah.
connecting with other entrepreneurs, just having that support system.
That support system.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference when you're going through those ups and downs.
Yeah. So it's like finding your tribe,
Yes.
getting advice, and just realizing that everybody's path is different.
Yeah. Everybody's path looks different.
Yeah. One of the sources told this really fascinating story about Elon Musk
Okay.
and SpaceX.
I think I know this one.
Yeah. So the company was like on the verge of bankruptcy
Wow.
multiple times,
Yeah.
but ultimately persevered to achieve incredible success.
It's amazing how they turn things around.
It is inspiring to see how people overcome obstacles and stay true to their vision.
Yeah, for sure. But I can only imagine how tough those moments of near failure must have been.
Oh, absolutely. It's about having the resilience to pick yourself up,
Yeah,
dust yourself off, and just keep going.
keep going.
Even when it feels like the whole world is against you.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of that comes down to mindset. So much of it is mindset.
Yeah, one source talked about viewing failure not as like a defeat,
Right.
but as a data point.
Interesting. A data point.
Yeah. What do you think they mean by that?
Well, I think it's about analyzing those setbacks and figuring out what went wrong.
Okay.
What can you learn from those mistakes? How can you adjust your approach going forward?
So it's like turning those failures into fuel
Yeah.
for future success.
Exactly. And that leads to another really important point that the sources raise.
Okay, now what's that?
They talk about embracing the messy middle.
Messy middle.
Yeah, it's that phase where, things are rarely smooth sailing.
Yeah.
You're experimenting, iterating, you're constantly learning.
So it's not about having it all figured out from the start.
Nope.
It's more about being adaptable
Yes.
and being willing to pivot when things aren't working.
Exactly. One source even uses this analogy of a sailboat tacking against the wind.
Okay.
So you might have to zigzag to reach your destination,
Yeah,
but each adjustment gets you closer to your goal.
that's a really great visual. I like it.
Yeah.
So it's not about charging ahead in a straight line.
Yep.
It's more about being flexible
Yeah.
and making those course corrections along the way.
Exactly.
That brings me back to something you mentioned earlier,
Okay.
the mental and emotional toll of entrepreneurship.
Right.
All the sources seem to suggest that it's not just about the workload.
No.
It's also about the constant pressure, the uncertainty, the fear of failure, all that.
Fear of
Yeah, how do you navigate all that without losing your sanity?
It's definitely not easy.
The Sunday night check-in?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
So the idea is to spend like a few minutes each Sunday evening reflecting on the week ahead.
Okay.
What are your biggest priorities? What are you most excited about? And most importantly, what are your potential stress triggers?
Oh, so it's about anticipating those challenges
Exactly.
and then having a plan in place.
All right. By identifying those potential stressors in advance, you can proactively come up with coping strategies.
I like that.
So maybe you need to block off some time for exercise or delegate some tasks
Right.
or schedule regular check-ins with a mentor or therapist or something.
That's so much better than just waiting till you're already overwhelmed and then reacting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's about taking control of your schedule
Yes.
and prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly. And another source talked about the importance of your support network,
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with supportive people.
Yeah.
They actually recommend creating what they call a personal board of advisors.
A personal board of advisors.
Oh, right.
That sounds intense.
It doesn't have to be like a formal boardroom situation or anything.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
just about identifying a few trusted people
Right.
who can offer you some guidance and support.
I see.
So this could be mentors, fellow entrepreneurs, maybe even a therapist, a coach friend, family members.
Okay, so it's about building a team
Yeah.
of people who really understand the unique challenges of entrepreneurship and can offer like different perspectives.
Yeah, it's like having a cheering section, a sounding board, and a reality check all rolled into one.
I like that.
And one of the sources even suggests scheduling regular meetings with this board,
Oh, yeah?
like maybe a monthly coffee chat or a quarterly brainstorming session or something.
That sounds like a really good way to stay accountable.
Yeah,
Get feedback on those big decisions.
for sure. And I think just having that emotional support can be invaluable.
Yeah, especially when you're facing setbacks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the sources made this point that I thought was really profound. They said that failure is not the opposite of success.
Interesting.
It's part of the process.
I like that. Yeah, we're often so conditioned to fear failure, to see it as like a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
But these sources, they encourage us to reframe it
Okay.
as a valuable learning experience.
So it's not about avoiding failure.
Nope.
It's about knowing that it's inevitable
Yeah,
and learning how to extract valuable insights from it.
exactly. One source even suggests keeping a failure journal.
A failure journal.
Yeah, it's a place to document your mistakes, analyze what went wrong, and brainstorm how to avoid similar pitfalls in the future.
So it's about turning those failures into data points
Yes,
that can inform your future decisions.
exactly. You're giving yourself permission to fail,
Yeah.
knowing that it's not the end of the world.
It's just a stepping stone.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, it's got to be tough to maintain that positive mindset when you're in the middle of a major setback.
It's really tough. It takes a lot of resilience.
Right, the sources talk a lot about resilience.
Yeah.
But do they offer any advice on how to actually develop that mental toughness?
One source recommends practicing what they call mental contrasting.
Mental contrasting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that? It's a technique where you visualize both the positive outcome you're working towards
Okay.
and the potential obstacles that you might encounter along the way.
So it's like being realistic about the challenges, but still maintaining that focus on your goals.
Exactly. By mentally preparing for those setbacks, you're less likely to be completely blindsided when they inevitably happen.
Yeah, it's like mentally rehearsing for those tough moments.
Yes.
So you can respond with more grace and resilience.
Exactly. And another source talked about the importance of celebrating the small wins along the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to get so caught up in the big picture that we forget to acknowledge those little steps forward.
Right.
So it's about recognizing those milestones, even if they seem small, and giving yourself credit for the progress you're making.
So it's about shifting your focus from what you haven't achieved yet
Yeah.
to what you have accomplished.
Exactly. It can be really motivating and it helps you stay positive.
Yeah, it's like giving yourself those little dopamine hits to keep you going.
Yes.
But it's not all about mindset, right? The sources also talk about having a solid plan,
Oh, absolutely.
doing your research, understanding the market, all that.
It's all important.
Yeah. One source recommends creating what they call a pre-mortem for your business idea.
A pre-mortem. What's that?
It's a thought experiment where you imagine that your venture has failed a year from now,
Okay.
and then you analyze what went wrong.
Interesting.
I know it sounds kind of morbid,
It does.
but I can see how it would be valuable.
Yeah. By anticipating those potential pitfalls in advance,
Yeah.
you can identify weaknesses in your plan, address them proactively, and increase your chances of success.
So it's like playing devil's advocate with your own business idea.
Exactly. And another source emphasizes the importance of building a minimum viable product.
Oh, yeah. That's something I hear a lot.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
It's about creating like a basic version of your product or service with just enough features to attract early adopters and get some feedback.
I see.
So it's a way to test your idea in the real world without investing a ton of time and resources up front.
So it's about getting that early validation.
Yeah.
Seeing if there's an actual market
Oh, well.
before you go all in.
Exactly. And the feedback you get from those early adopters can be invaluable.
Yeah, it's like doing market research in real time.
Exactly.
This has been so helpful in understanding the practical side of things.
Good.
But I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
That whole idea of defining your own version of success.
Right.
It's so easy to get caught up in those external markers of success.
Oh, yeah.
Like the funding announcements, the
Ah.
media coverage, the social media following.
All of that.
And it's like everyone's trying to project this image of crushing it.
Yeah.
Even if they're struggling behind the scenes.
Even if they're drowning in debt.
Right. And that can lead to so much comparison and self-doubt.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The sources really emphasize tuning out that external noise and focusing on what truly matters to you.
To you, yeah.
What are your personal and professional goals? What kind of impact do you want to make?
So it's about getting clear on your values and your vision.
Exactly.
And building your business around those guiding principles.
Exactly. One source even suggests creating a personal mission statement for your entrepreneurial journey.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a way to articulate your core values, your purpose, your long-term aspirations.
So it's like a compass
Yeah.
that can guide you through all those twists and turns.
Precisely. It's a reminder of why you started this whole thing in the first place.
Yeah.
And what you're ultimately working towards.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like we've covered so much.
Me too.
From the practical stuff like market research and product development
Yeah.
to the importance of resilience and self-care and building that strong support network.
All really important stuff.
It is. What are your biggest takeaways so far?
I think what's struck me the most is the importance of authenticity.
Authenticity.
Yeah, the sources seem to suggest that true success in entrepreneurship isn't about
Self-care and building that strong support network.
all really important stuff.
It is. What are your biggest takeaways so far?
I think what's struck me the most is the importance of authenticity.
Authenticity.
Yeah, the sources seem to suggest that true success in entrepreneurship isn't about projecting this image of perfection.
Right.
It's about embracing the whole journey, the good, the bad, and the messy.
It's about being real, sharing your struggles and your triumphs authentically.
Right. One source talked about the power of storytelling in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
They argue that by sharing your authentic story, you connect with your audience on a deeper level,
Yeah,
build trust, and inspire others.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about being relatable, you know?
Yeah.
Showing that you're human, that you face challenges and come out stronger.
Exactly.
It's like that saying, People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Yes.
And that why is often rooted in your story,
Absolutely.
your struggles, your triumphs.
And by sharing that story authentically,
Yeah.
you attract the right people.
Okay.
Customers, investors, partners, people who resonate with your values.
Right. So it's not just about building a brand. It's about building a brand that's an extension of yourself,
Exactly.
of your authentic self.
Right.
But let's be real. Not every entrepreneur is comfortable. But let's be real. Not every entrepreneur is comfortable being that vulnerable,
It's tough.
that open.
Yeah.
Do the sources offer any advice for people who might be struggling with that aspect of entrepreneurship?
One source suggested starting small.
Okay.
Like, you don't have to share everything with the world right away.
Right.
Maybe just start by sharing your story with a trusted mentor or a small group of other entrepreneurs.
So it's about building that comfort level gradually, finding your voice, and figuring out what feels authentic to you.
Exactly. And another source talked about focusing on the positive.
Okay.
Yes, entrepreneurship is challenging, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
Right.
So celebrate those wins, share those aha moments, and let your passion shine through.
It's about letting your passion for your work shine through.
Exactly.
I like that. And, authenticity doesn't mean you have to share every single detail.
No, it's about being selective.
Yeah.
Sharing what feels right.
Yeah.
Sharing what feels right and staying true to your values.
Finding that balance
Yeah.
between transparency and privacy.
Right.
And your story is always evolving.
Always evolve.
What felt authentic to share a year ago might not feel right today.
Exactly. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all part of the journey.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm really struck by how much wisdom is contained in these sources.
It's amazing.
It's like they've given us a roadmap for navigating the entrepreneurial world.
And it's not a linear roadmap.
No, it's full of detours and unexpected turns.
And moments of serendipity.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the unknown, being open to new possibilities, and constantly learning.
Constantly learning and adapting.
And remembering that you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
There's a whole community of entrepreneurs out there
Yeah, who've been there.
who've learned valuable lessons and are willing to help.
So for our listeners out there who might be feeling inspired to start their own entrepreneurial journey, what's the one piece of advice you would give them?
I would say trust your gut, surround yourself with amazing people, and never be afraid to ask for help.
That's great advice.
Thank you.
And remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
Pace yourself, celebrate those small wins, and never lose sight of the passion that got you started in the first place.
Beautifully said. And remember, you have the power to create something truly extraordinary.
That's it for our deep dive into the world of entrepreneurship. We hope this conversation is giving you some valuable insights,
Yes.
practical strategies, and a renewed sense of inspiration.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep dreaming big, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.